Are you a prosthetic or dual discipline combined O&P resident trying to figure out why you're not getting anything recognized under post-operative care? As you know, post-operative care is a required competency in order to finish your residency. But keep in mind, the NCOPE competencies relate not to appointment types, but devices themselves. Upper limb prostheses, transtibial prostheses, transfemoral prostheses, CIME and or partial foot prostheses, and post-operative care devices are what NCOPE Tracker is looking for. And you're probably asking yourself, Chris, what is a post-operative device? The three principal post-operative devices provided by residents include shrinkers, rigid removable dressings, and immediate post-operative prostheses. Let me show you how to make sure that your competencies are being reflected for these various post-operative devices. It's very common for a resident to load up their full report using NCOPE Tracker. And on the screen, we can clearly see, hey, there have been some post-operative visits. But as we mentioned earlier, it's entirely possible to have a post-operative visit where no device is provided or adjusted. You may simply be visiting the patient in their room, and they may be wearing a non-removable cast applied by the physician. That won't help you get to the post-operative competency, as you're not providing any post-operative device or adjustment to a post-operative device at that visit. So very often, residents will say, look, I've engaged in post-operative care. And to that response, actually you've documented that you visited somebody after surgery. It doesn't actually relate back to any particular intervention. But now, let's focus on the important question of what if I did provide a shrinker, a rigid removable dressing, or an IPOP, and it's not showing up? What's going on? Well, first and foremost, the solution is not to re-upload data if you're using an electronic medical record system that is supported by NCOPE Tracker for data import. You already have data in the system, and if you upload it again, all you're going to do is make a lot of duplicates and have to do a lot more editing than the few steps I'm about to show you. Click Create or Edit Dataset. This is the screen used for manual data entry. Now we have two moves. One, if you know a day that you delivered a shrinker and also provided consultation for a new transtibial prosthesis as well, technically you get to log it twice. So if you want, you can actually go into this form here and say, you know what? Just yesterday, I saw a patient in the hospital and I already logged the first visit, but that 68-year-old male prosthetic case that was seen for miscellaneous, in this case, got a shrinker. And it was part of the post-operative visit. And we can go in there and enter in our other info as well. I'm going to type in amputation and knee. And you can go ahead now and choose the appropriate ICD-10 code in this case, like so. And it'll go ahead and enter that information in. And for that shrinker delivery, I did it myself. I was independent. Outcome measures performed at a shrinker delivery, goals documented. Well, they're not required, and in this case, that wasn't the reason I documented goals. I actually did all of that for the transtibial prosthesis. So I'm going to leave those blank. And you can go ahead and hit your save button if you'd like, and now, well, you have at least one post-operative device listed. But what if you do a rigid removable dressing or a IPOP? Well, let's recreate that scenario again. I'm going to go ahead and pick our 68-year-old male patient for a prosthesis. And this time I'm going to pick lower. And choose the appropriate side, left, right, or bilateral. And if you scroll down towards the bottom, just below partial foot, you'll see rigid removable dressing and IPOP. So if you provide something such as a Flow-Tech limb protector, for example, you can choose rigid removable dressing, and it was still a post-operative visit. And I can go ahead and still enter in the same ICD-10 code that we had, amputation, and choose my engagement level. I did it by myself. And again, outcome measures, goals. If they were performed, document them. If they weren't, leave them out. But that's how you document your RRD or IPOP. It's just the option immediately below on the menu. And I'm going to go ahead now and hit my save button real fast. So that's option one. We could actually add in some additional logs, as technically you probably did assess the patient for getting their initial evaluation and or casting, and schedule maybe a test socket fitting down the road if you'd like. But you need to make sure that you have a device that relates to a postoperative component, such as that shrinker, RRD, or IPOP. So what if I want to take that next step? What if I don't want to add another case because I feel guilty? I don't want to double dip. I can click Open View/Edit. And I can find another case, and you can go, oh, I remember that 49-year-old male patient that I did a shrinker delivery for. To edit it, click your pencil. And right here, we can go ahead and see patient age and all that information. But if you want to tweak it, well, that was technically a shrinker delivery, not a transtibial adjustment. I had to give him a shrinker to actually adjust the volume. We can go ahead now, and to change to shrinker, remember, shrinker's miscellaneous. There's no need to worry about a side for a shrinker delivery. And pick shrinker. And that was a shrinker delivery. And I can go ahead now and click my update button. And I now actually have another post-operative case listed. Let's go ahead and show you how this would actually be reflected now in your updated executive report. And I just reran my executive report. And the one thing that's changed, remember we didn't have anything after post-operative care, it was a blank slate, and now, well, at least we have a little sliver of blue. And it makes sense considering we had a lot of other cases. We had a ton of transtibial, over 600 cases. So that is proportionate when you only add a couple of cases in there to see that wee little sliver. But that little sliver, well, at least it shows that you've provided a post-operative device and did more than simply report to the hospital and visit with someone who just had an amputation. I hope that you found this tutorial helpful. Thank you for your time.